Our next guests are the 67th Secretary of State and a #1 New York Times bestselling author, but now they are also the co-authors behind the new novel, State of Terror, an international thriller ripped straight from the headlines that will leave you on the edge of your seat. Hillary Clinton and Louise Penny are here with us here in studio. Thank you both for being with us this morning.
Thanks, Amy.
And Secretary Clinton, I don't think it's too much of a stretch for people to see the parallels between this fiction novel and American politics in the past several years. Are we in a state of terror? How close are we, if not?
That's a great question. You know, part of what motivated Louise and I to write this book is, not only to give readers a thrill and give them a great opportunity to meet fascinating characters that, really came out of Louise's brain that were inspired by other people.
This was a collaboration.
Yeah, but it was. But, it was also because I do worry that we face a lot of really serious problems that don't get the attention they deserve. So as you know from this book, it's a lot of fun, there's a lot of entertainment, but it's also a really serious problem of terrorists potentially getting access to nuclear weapons. It kept me up at night when I was Secretary of State.
It's a cautionary tale.
It is a cautionary tale, yes.
And Louise, it's pretty remarkable. I was reading up on your partnership. Your collaboration was really born from loss, correct?
It was. I had lost my husband in 2016, just before the election. Hillary wrote the most wonderful letter of condolence, very detailed about my husband, Michael. And she had never met me. She hadn't met Michael. You'd read the books,
I
right?
loved your books, though, Louise. I felt like I knew you.
And you took time out from the most brutal election campaign to write to a Canadian who can't even vote. It was an act of kindness that I've rarely seen, and selflessness. And then the election didn't go the way we all thought it should. Well, not all
of us. A loss of another kind. A loss of another kind.
The loss of the election. And then we met finally in February of the next year and just became friends because I had nothing to offer you. You had nothing to offer me. And so we were two women of a similar age who bonded over grief.
Yeah. And also brought together by my best friend from 6th grade, who inspires one of the characters who Louise had gotten to know and became a great, great friend of hers as well. And to, spend time together as we did from 2017 until Betsy's death in 2019, it was just such a gift to both of us. And that friendship, went much further than even the closeness that I had with Betsy that Louise then shared. And we wanted this book to be a political thriller. We do want you to be on the edge of your seat. But we also wanted it to be about relationships, about love. We wanted it to have a lot of heart. We wanted it to feel like you were getting to know people who were in the cauldron of these fast-moving, dangerous threats, but never lost their humanity, which sometimes is, kind of hard to keep.
And that's the thing, don't you find in thrillers that you don't see a lot of the women, strong, older women characters. You see it in real life, the female bonding, but you don't see it necessarily in thrillers. And we wanted to write a book that we really wanted to read.
Yes, that's
And we
very
wanted
important.
to write about characters that people would care about, that we cared about.
Right.
So you're right. It's more than just explosions, although God knows there are some of those.
I love how you all are finishing each other's sentences. You can see how well the collaboration must have gone in writing this. And you alluded to this, but many of the characters are from people in your real life. I'm curious, Secretary Clinton, how much is Ellen Adams, the Secretary of State in your novel, Hillary Clinton?
I used my experience to inform the character, but as I write in the acknowledgments, I was really inspired by another wonderful friend of mine, Ellen Tauscher, a former member of Congress who became the Undersecretary for Arms Control, dealt with the Russians on nuclear weapons, was really in the middle of trying to keep our world safer, and she sadly passed away in May of 2019. Just 2 months before Betsy lost her battle with breast cancer. So I thought a lot about Ellen, who I was very close to and admired and just had the highest respect for. So it's a combination of characteristics of people who I both know and that came out of the imagination of Louise, so that we really had a collaboration that brought my experience with her expertise and great experience, and tried to come up with characters, as she said, who you'd want to know, who you'd want to spend time with, because part of what hooked me on Louise's series set in Quebec, featuring an incredible character named Gamache, is how much you wanted to know these characters. You wanted to find out what was going to happen to them next. That's what we want people to feel like reading this book, too.
And I also want to mention, Hillary, that because people come to the end of a book and they often just close it and say, you know, that's it. We want this book, obviously, to live on, to be memorable because of that. But I really encourage people to read the acknowledgements, because Hillary's acknowledgements are the most beautiful acknowledgements I've read, some of the most beautiful writing I've ever read. And the way you chose to end the book is perfect.
I believe you said it's up to us to make sure the plot stays fictional. After writing this, any interest at all in getting back into the game of politics?
I will never be out of the game of politics. I'm not going to be running for anything, but I really feel, Amy, and I know George was interviewing Adam Schiff before, I really feel like our democracy is at stake. And there's many reasons for that. Some of them we saw on the screen with the insurrection, some of them because of the revelations about Facebook that creates a world of disinformation instead of, you know, one that we can agree on what the facts are. I really am worried about what's happening at home and around the world. So I'm never going to get out of, you know, being involved, worried, and hopefully trying to help in some way.
Secretary Clinton, Louise Penny, thank you both for being with us.
Thank you.
We really appreciate it. Want to let everyone know State of Terror. It hits bookshelves everywhere tomorrow, so pick up your copy.